This episode contains content and strong language that may be unsuitable for the younger viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh my god, it's a Norwegian horse!
No, the Mongolian horse.
Oh. Welcome to the Heart to Heartland podcast. Here are your hosts. Wait, what episode are we on? 10?
10.
Are we
Yeah.
on our 10th episode?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Look at us. That's awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining our 10th episode. We don't have too many updates for you today,
Yeah.
but we
But
have a guest.
Yeah. So
What
I
about
think
that?
that'll take most of our
Yeah.
time. And in case you didn't know or don't know, my name is Soile, and I'm here with
Isabelle.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a few quick updates for you this week. One of them is Michelle's having a new role in something, and she
Yeah.
hasn't revealed what it is yet. But
Yeah, her IMDb doesn't say anything either. I checked yesterday.
yeah, she said she was pretty excited about that. And a funny
I wonder what
thing,
it is.
this morning, I woke up really early and I had time to go back to sleep before I
Oh,
was supposed to
really?
wake up. Yeah.
Okay.
And I saw a dream where she was wearing Catwoman t-shirt or something. And
Ooh.
I was like, wait a minute. Is
Oh my
she?
god.
Yeah,
I would be like so for that.
Yeah.
100%.
that would be funny.
I'd forgive her for leaving Heartland if she was doing. That's just so cool.
Yeah. I mean, she could find time if.
Yeah, of course she can. Why not? Well, it films in Vancouver, which is closer for
Yeah.
her as opposed to Heartland.
Yeah. Who knows?
So the only other update that we can think of for you guys today is Amber's new book that she did Where'd Cow Go? Now she's doing Where'd Turkey Go?
Yeah.
Now, this was really cool because this is something that she didn't post about on her social media that I found on her website. I can't find it now, but I pulled up the screenshot and it says submissions will be open from May 24th to June 14th. The top 3 selections will then be interviewed on Zoom by Amber Marshall herself and featured on social media for artist promotion and fan admiration. So she'll be making her final choice on June 21st. And it has all the details on what you have to have for the artwork. But whoever gets chosen gets a $2,000 check. $2,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
$2,000, bro.
Yeah. Like, it could be anyone.
I'm about ready to pull out my Sharpies and draw a damn turkey.
Yeah. It's about her turkey that she gave
Like, how
to one
hard
of
can it
our
be to draw a
friends.
turkey?
A little like round and
Yeah.
circle, and then
It
maybe a
doesn't
little
have to be
stick.
like detailed, like just make it look like it almost looks like a turkey.
I mean,
Has like turkey features.
I went to art school and we had a lot of.
You're a very talented artist. You need to work on this so we can go halvesies on
Oh,
the 2000.
I don't know about turkeys, but anyway, the
I'll
point
do
is.
like the background and you can draw the turkeys.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. But anyway, when we had assignments or whatever, and then we had then it came to time to, show them and like tell something about them. Like, one of the things you learn from art school is like bullshitting things like,
oh, really?
like, if you look at the colors here, it definitely like tells a story about,
God.
like, you learn to like explain your art, even if it's just like a stick figure. So
wow.
So if we play this well, we could just do stick figure turkey.
You know what? We should actually do it though, and then we can make like a whole podcast episode about it.
But how, like,
I know. You would
that's a lot of
either
work.
have to like mail your drawings or like we'd have to somehow do it like through email or
Yeah, like digitally or I don't know,
as soon as I saw the money, I was like, yeah, I think I can draw a turkey.
yeah, it motivated you immediately.
Yeah. All right, we have our third guest with us today. I'm very excited. We're going to be talking about horses. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Nina. I live in the USA, and yeah, I guess I'm the resident horse girl.
Yeah.
That's how long have you been around horses then?
Oh gosh, I started riding when I was about 6 or 7.
Oh, okay.
So I've grown up around them, done the whole summer camp thing. I own a horse now. So yeah, they've been part of my life pretty much the entire time.
What kind of horse do you have?
Yeah.
So I own an Appaloosa gelding. His name is Jasper, and he's the best. He just turned 7 on May 7th, actually. So yeah, he's kind of a rascal. Definitely one of the smartest horses I've ever met, and very expressive. I always say that if you're wondering what he's thinking, just look at his face, because he actually he really just tells you how it is whenever. And usually he's saying, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Do you do like jumping or like?
Yeah, so I started off as I did Western riding when I was a kid, and then I started doing hunter jumping when I got to high school, and then did a little bit of jumping and dressage in college. And then now that I have Jasper, I actually got him, and he was green broke, probably about 30 days under saddle. And so I've been training him. So right now we're doing mainly dressage, but the hope is to turn him into a 3-day eventer. So eventually we'll do the jumping, the cross country, and the dressage.
That's incredible. Good for you.
Yeah. So how did you learn about Heartland, or how did you like get involved watching the show?
Yeah, I think it had to be on a day that I was homesick from school. I was, I think, a junior in high school, and just on the couch flipping through Netflix, and it came up as a suggestion. And actually, being a horse person, when you see a suggestion for a horse show, you're kind of like, oh great, okay, like what are they doing? They're gonna like, oh, she has the magic touch, and look, da da da. And but I saw it, and I was like, I'm homesick, I don't have anything else to do, I might as well. So I turned it on, and I remember obviously the first episode came on, and it cut to the credits, and I saw Amber Marshall's Amy in that one cut of the intro where she's working with Promise from the 3rd episode, and she's putting the saddle on her back. And I remember looking and being like, that's an English saddle. Why is she putting an English, like clearly she's a cowgirl because she has a cowgirl hat on. I'm like, oh great, this is going to be one of those shows where they're putting the wrong tack on the horse, and they're going to like, oh no. I was like, what have I done? Like, I'm going to just be so mad this entire show. And then I actually started watching it, and recognized very quickly that no, they actually know what they're talking about. And I could tell that Amber had experience with horses and working with them, which was always great to see. And just like that quickly became addicted. It became the show that I would turn on after I got home. I almost said work. After I would get home from school, you know, I would have my snack or something and put on an episode and watch it for a couple hours, and then do my homework, or you know. And at the time I was working, I was 17. So I was working a minimum wage job at a fast food restaurant, and that was how I paid for my riding lessons. And when you're working a minimum wage job, you can't really pay for that many lessons at a time.
No kidding.
So yeah, so when I would watch Heartland and be thinking about the next time I could ride. So it was sort of that in between, you know, like the comfort of being around the horses without actually having the ability to, because I could only really ride 2 or 3 times a month at that point. And so if I missed being with the horses, I would turn on Heartland and just be like,
it's that comfort, right?
Ride it myself. Yeah. And it actually did become a big comfort for me, because right after I started my senior year of high school, I was actually diagnosed with major depressive disorder. So I was really in a tough spot, you know, teenagers, and I was getting ready to transition into college, university, and I had just broken up with a boyfriend when the relationship was really unhealthy. And so it was one of those things where I was really, really struggling with my mental health there for a while. And Heartland became the thing that really comforted me the most. And it became it became my solace in terms of I could turn it on. It was familiar. I almost felt like they were my friends as well, but also just seeing that world and being able to just be there in that kind of comfortable space really, really helped me a lot, because, you know, I would come home from school and, you know, no one really feels like they fit in when they're a teenager. And so coming home feeling like I was, you know, taking it on all by myself and being able to turn on Heartland and just kind of recover from the day and be like, okay, I can go another day after this and go forward. So it really quickly became what I call my security blanket. So even now, if I'm having a bad day, and I've seen every episode at least 3 times.
So are you all caught up, like season 14?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, I'm totally caught up. And even now I'll turn it on if I'm having a bad day. I'll just be like, I'm gonna go to my room, gonna put on Heartland. I'm gonna lay there and just look at Ty Borden.
So what did you think about Ty's death in season 14?
I didn't think they were gonna do it. I thought they were bullshitting.
That's what I
Sorry
said.
for the language. I'll just put that out there now. But oh God, I definitely was like, they're not, no way. They're not gonna, whatever. They're not gonna do it. They're no way. And then the first scene opened, and you know, Ty collapses as he's leading Spartan and Shadow back to the barn, and I'm like, oh my God, no fucking way. Oh my God. And then, like, you know, I think it flashes to like Amy, her face, and then it cuts to the credits and the intro credits, and the music was different, and it was like the very sorrowful, sad music, and I'm just sitting here like, son of a bitch, they did it.
They actually
You're like right away.
Like
son
right
of a
away,
bitch,
I
they
was
did
like,
it.
like full on Jurassic Park, you son of a bitch, you did it. What? And I actually watched the episode twice in a row. So like I watched it and then I immediately started it from the beginning and watched it again, because I was like,
it was crazy. You had to process it. You got to watch it again to process it. And a lot happened.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting to grieve so much, because you know, I'm as a kid, you know, if a cast member left a show, you would be like, oh, how could they do it? But now, you know, being older and also I have friends who have been in, you know, not the TV industry, but they're actors, and watching them go through burnout and having seen my friends take breaks from acting, and just accepting like, people move on in the theater world all the time, in the film industry all the time. It's not unusual. So on one hand, I was very much like, oh yeah, Graham has every right to move on from the show, and he can absolutely, like, I support him. I sent him a message on Instagram. I was like, hey, I just wanted to say, you know, you've done a great job with this character. You know, the show has really helped me through a lot of hard times. I wanted to thank you so much for bringing Ty to life. Good luck with the rest of your career. And sent that. And I was like, okay, I'm good. And then after I watched the show the second time through and turned it off and was like, okay, I'm going to go about my day, I was like, oh, I'm really sad. Like, I really started grieving just the loss of this character, that in a way that I really didn't expect to, because, you know, I think a lot of people who have been with the show for a while can say, oh, Graham hasn't really been part of the show for a while. You know, he's been distancing himself, you know, here for a bit. So I wasn't really expecting it to be that big of a transition for me, but I really, really started grieving for the loss of this character, this friend that we had for so long. Actually, I think I remember I started following you right when season 7 was filming. So I've been following the show very closely for, gosh, it would be almost a decade now.
Yeah.
And just like saying goodbye to that character was unexpected. Like I was depressed about it for a couple of days, like just kind of going through this grieving process that I really didn't expect to do because, you know, I'm an adult and I'm like, like people leave the show all the time. That's fine. But the loss of that character was like, it was something that really kind of hit me unexpectedly. So,
it's
which
like
I think
going
also
through the stages of grief, right? Because once you get past the shock, it's like, oh my God, he's gone.
Like he's not coming back.
Yeah. But it's 14 years. It's different if you have like a character die in the 3rd season. Okay. 14 years. Like
yeah. And for me, you know, when I was a teenager, it was always like, oh, Ty Borden, I would love to marry him, you know, whatever. But then it was also, I mean, absolutely in love with Ty Borden.
Yeah.
Of the leather jacket and the punching people.
And the motorcycle.
The motorcycle and the fact that he loved animals. I was like, oh my God, yes. But, you know, but then also just moving on from that and just being like, the character of Ty was just such a really beautifully done character. Like his character arc, I think, from being the rough and tumble kid that, you know, was very defensive and angry to being a father and a family man and a vet and someone who really stood up for the little guy and just the change that he made throughout his 13 season arc, I guess.
Yeah.
Going from, you know, he eventually got his GED and then went to college and then got his, you know, became a vet. Like that whole character arc was also really inspiring. And just knowing that was over, it really was like saying goodbye to a friend. Yeah. And I actually,
he was like the underdog. He was like this underdog that came from such like a horrible place and built this life for him. And then he dies young. Like this just heartbreaking.
Yeah. And thinking about how, if, you know, in the Heartland universe, how devastated Ty would have been to know that he was leaving Lindy at such a young age. Like that killed me. Like thinking about being in that character's psyche. Were they a real person? How devastated how much he would have beat himself up for that. Being like, I'm doing exactly what my father did and I left. That killed me. That like just I still can't really watch some of the older seasons now. I've been watching them now, but like for probably a good 3 months, and I'm always rewatching them. If I have nothing else to do, I'll put it on at least as background noise. But I couldn't do it. I was like, no.
Like knowing what you know now, it's like
and then also Graham kind of being Graham was kind of like you know, I'm just gonna like I'm just gonna, you know, I'll just keep watching season 14 with my VPN. It's fine.
Yeah, basically. So what do you think about the relationship between people and horses on the show and how it's portrayed? Like, is it realistic to you?
It is actually, to a certain extent. I think it's season 14 where we see Parker for the first time. And the line that she actually says, she goes, oh, Mickey's gonna bond with whoever feeds him. And then Amy goes, no, horses actually develop a lot deeper of a connection than that. I love that exchange. I love that line because it's extremely true. You know, I board my horse at a barn and I'm not the one that feeds him every day. You know, we have people who go out and take care and throw them hay in the mornings and grain and stuff. And he certainly likes them. And he, you know, I think if one of them were there instead of me, and how would I say this? You know, he definitely knows who they are and he likes them and he's like, oh, cool, you're my friend. But, you know, and not to sound like the crazy horse girl or anything, but he and I really have a different relationship, I think, because I do take care of him and I do feed him when I'm there. I'll groom him, I'll ride him. Sometimes I'll turn him out in the arena or we'll be out in the field and just not even riding, just hanging out, kind of doing our liberty work. And I can just tell that he and I are connected in a way that is beyond the fact that I'm there and feeding him that day. You know,
well, I always think of it like animals think of us as like their mom.
Yeah.
Like we're their mother. And I think of that with my furry friends too. Like I'm their mother.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's at boarding school and I just happen to show up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, and it always strikes me, you know, with Jasper, we have an indoor arena. And so after a lesson, I'll typically pull off his saddle, pull off his bridle, and let him go kind of roll in the dirt and just kind of stretch out and relax, because after we use the indoor arena, the barn policy is you have to pick up all the manure afterwards, you know. So usually I'll take off all of his stuff and go and find a pitchfork and start picking up all the poop in the arena. And it always strikes me that he always chooses to stand with me and follow me around the arena. You know, he has every right to go and just fuck off on the other side of the arena and just do whatever. And I don't feed him treats when we're working. I only feed him treats when I'm turning him back out.
No.
And so he knows he's not going to get a snack, but he always chooses to stand right by me. And I think that's really cool. And so I think Heartland does a really good job of showing how people can have this bond with their animals and understand their horses on a much deeper level than an outsider can really see, you know. Like Amy and Spartan, I love that. I love that bond so much. I think it's really amazing how they have kind of bonded over that shared trauma of the accident. Sorry, it's my boyfriend in the background. And then also the bond with Georgie and Phoenix actually always gets me. There's that scene in season 6, right after the fire, and she does join up. Yes. I cry I've seen that episode at least 10 times. Every single time I get choked up and I cry, because that just, that scene alone just really plays to me. And it's, I think they do a good job of showing how horses are not only on a working ranch, an instrument of having the ranch work, you know, it's part of the everyday, you know, job, but also can be these companions. You know, Tim eventually naming Champ many seasons later, and sweet, and just showing it. So I think it's nice how they can show how that relationship can change over time too.
So do you have a favorite horse storyline or like a moment or scene like that kind of, you know, gets you every time? I mean, you've mentioned some, but
oh gosh, there are so many. Definitely the one with Georgie and Phoenix in season 6. That one always gets me. I also like at the end of that season, after Spartan is recovering from his accident and he follows Amy back through the field to the barn. That always gets me. Oh gosh, I had them all in my head and I can't remember now. And I'm trying to like, oh no,
probably
I remember.
Like the thing with Jack and Paint, maybe.
Actually, I was gonna say when Jack does the join up with Buddy, that like, and you know, and he's kind of like old school cowboy. He's like, I believe in all you do, but I'm not gonna do it. And then it just cuts to him in the round pen with Buddy doing the join up, and that just, I love that moment too, because when I bought Jasper, that's what I did, was I had him in a round pen and did a join up with him, and it went almost exactly the same way, where I, you know, chased him around and then turned my back and he came up and stood next to me, and I was like, all right, that's it. So having been in that moment, that's a really beautiful moment too. You know, and Harley finding the plane crash in season 3, that's a good one. Oh gosh, there are a lot. I'm trying to go through all the seasons really quickly.
Do you like the Liberty work, or like, I don't know,
or like
jumping
or all that kind of stuff?
I do like the Liberty work. I really like that they brought that in and integrated that into Amy's training regimen as a horse trainer, because to me, I believe when it says it really does help form that connection, and it really does help the horse on the ground and on his back to do the Liberty work. So seeing her develop her talent with that over the coming seasons, and then also knowing that that's something that other people do. I do a little bit with Jasper. That Liberty work is really cool. I was really, looking back, I'm really glad that they added that element in, because it kind of adds something to the show that wasn't there before, and really shows a lot of growth. Just with Amy expanding her skill set and her knowledge, it just adds something to it. I really like it. I love the jumping. I was really sad for a while when Georgie was just doing trick riding, because trick riding is so cool. But show jumping is my first love of the equestrian sports. So whenever someone's jumping on the show, that's when I get really happy. I'm like, yay. Season 4, when Amy does the cross country course at the beginning, I love that. Yeah. So, and I really do like it. And it always makes me laugh to watch I can't really watch this episode too much, because it's the one where Pegasus dies, but when they have the dressage rider come in, and like,
I was thinking that.
Right.
You just see all of the supplements lined up, and it's like, oh no, that's actually kind of true. So that one makes me giggle, because that one is a little bit of a caricature, but also a little bit true, just like all the stuff. And
oh my god, that's awesome.
Have you actually learned something new about horses through the show, or is it more like, that's totally true, like I know that thing? And
I think I've really learned that they will tell you what they're thinking if you listen. Like the line, my mother wasn't a horse whisperer, she listened to horses. That's good. That's a good one, because I have found that is very true. Jasper, about 1.5 years ago, hurt his back somehow. I think he was just out running around with his buddies. Horses get hurt all the time, but he came in and he was limping a little bit, and he wasn't feeling well. And, it just kind of, over the weeks, his limp went away, and, to the naked eye, it seems like, okay, we could probably start riding again, because he's doing better. But just something about the way that he was told me that he just wasn't ready to be ridden again. And that I was waiting for it. And then out of nowhere, it just kind of felt like he looked at me and he was like, are we going to go for a ride? Are we going to do something? And it ended up being a really, really good ride, and just very easy and calm. And I could just tell that he appreciated having that extra time to recover. So definitely the listening is a big one I've learned, because when you're a student, I've only owned him for 2 years. So the majority of my riding career has been riding other people's horses and mostly taking lessons. So you don't really get that time to listen to your horse when you have an hour to tack up, take a lesson, and then put them back. So having the time to actually realize they are really communicating with you, definitely something I picked up from Heartland, and definitely something that I found to be true.
Do you think that there's anything is there anything like annoying or like incorrect that they've done with horses on the show?
Yeah. The idea that, like, a trail ride is going to fix everything. Not always, and
she does use that a lot as a reason.
She does, and it does help. There are definitely times when just letting a horse be a horse is the right thing to do. And that's usually my first go-to is, hey, if they're having a hard time, just let them be for a couple of days and they'll be fine. But sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes it is a medical thing, or it's a result of a training incident, or just something going on with the horse and the rider that takes a little bit more time than just a trail ride. And for the sake of the show, they can't have the horse be in training for months and months and be, you know, back on its feet after that amount of time. So I understand that from the show running perspective, but usually the problems are a little bit deeper than just going on a trail ride. And it also annoys me when the owner doesn't participate in the rehabilitation of the horse. Like if they just drop the horse off and expect to come back and pick it up and be good. And that doesn't really happen too often, I don't think. A lot of times Amy will work with the horse and then bring the owner in, which is great. But there's been a couple of times, I think, where she's kind of taken the horse and then given it back and been like, "Okay, here you go. He's good." That's not the case. If you're not, it's with training any animal. You know, I took my dog for puppy training when I got him. And it really is true that, you know, he needed me to be there, and like we needed to set that boundary and set that responsibility between the two of us, because I'm the one walking him. I'm the one taking care of him. And it's the same thing with horses, where it's like, he knows how to behave, but he needs to know how to behave when I tell him to do it, because horses are so leader bound. I don't know if you've ever heard it said that you have to kind of you have to be the leader. I think Amy says it sometimes, but you do have to be the leader, and they have to respect you as the leader. And that's not necessarily making them afraid of you, because I think some people take it to that point where they're like, "Oh, if he's afraid of me, he'll obey me." I don't like that. But they do have to recognize, like, "Oh, you are the leader and you know what's best." And if you're not involved with their training to a certain extent, then it's all just going to fall apart, you know. For me, my trainer will get on my horse and make him look gorgeous, and she can make my horse look great, and I know that he can do it. But then, you know, I turn around, and if I haven't established that with him, then he'll say, "All right, screw you." You know, and the picture's totally different between the professional and me. So it's just one of those things where it's like the owner definitely has to be involved, and whenever they're not there, that always is like, it makes me feel like, okay, great. Now, you know, the horse is going to go back and have the same problems.
Well, they're just like humans, right? It's like having actual children, because they have emotions and feelings just like humans, and they have their good days and their bad days and stuff like that.
And it's funny you say that, because it's like with children, you know, when they're with their parents, I think they tend to push the limits a little bit more.
Of course.
Yeah. So like I was a nanny in college, and the kids usually would respect me and be like, "Okay." And I would say bedtime in 10 minutes. 10 minutes would go by, they'd be in bed. Great. But then I would also be at the house when the mom was there, just like taking care of things and like helping her out around the house. And she would tell them to do something, and they would backsass her. And I would never get that kind of backsass. But for some reason, they push that boundary with their mom. They don't push it with me. It's the same thing with horses. They won't push it with someone else, but they know, "Oh, you're the one, you know, who has me, and you love me. And I know that I can get away with nonsense because I have before. So I'm going to do it again."
Yeah, they know where the line is and how far they can push it.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, definitely. So
100%.
Is there a story about horses that you wish they do? I know they did one episode of dressage, but like, do you think they should do more, or like something else you would like to see in the show?
I would love it if they would bring dressage back, but not from the episode that they did was really funny. And it's definitely true. That is how a lot of dressage riders I've met act. Very much like, "My horse needs to be me." But, you know, the thing with, at least, you know, and people can disagree with me on this. This is just my own philosophy. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert and say that I know everything about it. So that's the disclaimer there, that, you know, absolutely everyone's free to have their own opinion. But in my opinion, when you do dressage well, dressage means training. And what you're doing is teaching the horse to use himself properly, because when they're out in the field and they're running around, they're very natural and free, and they're using their body unencumbered. But when they have a rider on their back, it's kind of like when we have a backpack on or we're carrying something heavy, we compensate for that. And so the idea of dressage is to help them move and use their body in a way that's most natural to them, while also taking care of the rider on their back. So it's a responsibility of the rider to have the balance and the coordination to allow the horse to move as naturally as possible, but it's also up to the horse to not, you know, suck his back in or drag his feet or, you know, put his head all the way up and, you know, kind of try to resist the feeling of the rider on his back. You want to try and have that cohesion of moving as naturally as possible. So in a way, it's a lot like physical therapy for the horse. So like I mentioned before, Jasper had been hurt just very mildly, but the big thing that really brought him back was going back to the basics of dressage and making sure that he was using himself correctly. Because it was like in PT where, you know, if you're lifting weights or you're on a treadmill or you're in the water, you're using that muscle and you're kind of using it a little bit more because you have that extra weight. And so it helped him recover faster because I was really focusing on, okay, is he using himself correctly? Is he balancing right? Is he putting equal weight on his hind legs and his front legs and all of that? So I do wish that they would kind of go back and explore the fact that a lot like Liberty work, a lot like, you know, going out and doing different things, that being able to properly strengthen the horse and teaching him to use his balance and his muscles correctly is something that actually really, really helps. And you'll see in different equestrian sports, the professionals, you'll see that the dressage horses are competing when they're in their, you know, 20, 21. Gosh, I think Ankie von Grusman, I think she rode her mare at 21 or something like that. I can't remember, but you know, you'll see the professional dressage riders, their horses are still going into their 20s. Whereas, you know, you'll see some of the show jumpers, they're retiring by the time they're 17, which is fine. It's a different kind of impact of the sport. It's a different kind of wear on their legs. And definitely, you know, you're not going to see the longevity of a dressage horse in a jumper quite as much, but you do see that the horses that do dressage and do it properly and are taught correctly to use themselves, they do end up having a little bit more strength, a little bit more longevity to their lives and their riding careers because they've been using their muscles correctly and they're not degenerating as much. Not to say that, you know, again, not to say that jumping or anything like that is not good or not, you know, I love jumping and I rode Western. So absolutely, I'm going to be jumping my horse, and absolutely, I do a lot of different cross training with him. So, you know, we do the trail rides, we're going to do the Western things, we do jumping and dressage. So not shitting on any of the other disciplines, but just noticing that dressage in its purest form is meant to improve the horse and to help strengthen him. So
Very
that would be something that I would
did
really
not
like to
know
see.
that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's hard because a lot of the, you know, the perspective is going to be it's all for the show and the flashiness. But when you get down to it, really, at least for me, my goal when I ride my horse and I'm doing dressage is to have him working properly and to have him using his muscles in a way that he's not going to, you know, suffer from a sore back or have something wrong with his legs because he's been using himself correctly the whole time and is learning to hold himself correctly. Yeah.
What do you think? And I saw this on TikTok, and this isn't part of our questions, but I've seen these videos on TikTok. What do you think about horse and chiropractic? Because you had these TikToks of these people like cracking the backs of horses. Like, is that something that, like, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, actually, Jasper actually has had chiropractic work before. And
that's just fascinating to me.
It's cool, and it makes a lot of sense because actually, if you'll see, I remember the vet that I had come out and do chiropractic work. She's awesome. She does chiropractic. She does acupuncture. People actually get acupuncture for their horses. Will I pay for a chiropractor for myself? Will I get acupuncture for myself? No. Will my horse get it? Yes, he will.
What's the saying?
so cool.
Tim says something like "nothing but the best for my equine friend" or something.
Yeah,
yes,
for my
exactly.
ex-boyfriend.
Oh, it's so true.
Oh my
But
God.
and this kind of goes along with knowing how your horse's body is working and moving. And I feel like, jumping back on that soapbox real quick, with dressage, you also kind of have to learn how their body works. And so a lot of times you'll see, for example, in one of my friend's barns, she does dressage and she has posters of like horses' skeletal anatomy up or muscular anatomy up. And that is something that my trainer will bring up to me as well. I'll be like, okay, think about how this muscle connects to this ligament, or this muscle and this muscle connect together. You want to encourage that movement. And so, you know, you learn a lot about how the horse is built. And so the chiropractic work, depending on the chiropractor, you know, they want to try and get them back to that neutral spot. And so there's been times where I've seen, like, my horse, you can see his two hips, if you're standing behind him, one's a little bit above the other, and she can eventually manipulate it so that they're standing even. So it's very similar to how, it's very similar to when a person gets chiropractic work. It is a little freaky to watch at first. She does this thing where she'll take my horse's nose and like push his head back.
Oh, I
to,
saw that.
Yeah, to align his.
Does the horse like react, or is he like, "Whoa, what are you doing to me?" Like, how do you?
He loves it. The funny thing is that he will fall asleep. He'll just be sitting there like. This is good.
That's awesome.
And he knows who the chiropractor is. He knows who the vet is. Loves that vet. Like, anytime she's around, even if she's there to give vaccines or something, he'll be like, "Oh my God, it's my friend. Are you gonna crack my back?" It feels. Yeah, like, I think if the chiropractor is doing it correctly, I think it feels good to them and it relaxes them because they feel looser afterwards.
It seems that season 15 is happening. So what do you think, like, what are your wishes for that season? And
not just horse related, but
in
general.
I really, 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 really don't want Amy to start dating somebody. I don't want that. Like, not only is it like she's been with this same guy since she was a teenager. They're soulmates. Not only that, but also just, we don't have enough portrayals of strong single women with children in media a lot of the times. I want to see Amy being independent and being focusing on herself and her daughter and the horses, without it being like, oh my God, I don't have a man and I'm like, I have no purpose now. Because we just don't see that enough. And I think it would be really great just to see her, not even, I hope that the family isn't like, oh, are you going to go on a date or something? Like, I don't even want that. I don't want it to be a question of like, when are you going to start dating again, Amy? I could see Lou being like, you need to go on a date. I don't even want that. I just want it to be like, I'm focusing on Lindy and the horses. And I would like to focus on that, because I don't think she needs to find another person. I don't think she needs to be with another.
She doesn't need a man. That's for sure.
She doesn't need a man, first of all. Ladies, let's be clear. And then also, I say that even though my boyfriend just left, but
you can say now.
I can say now. Fuck men. No, I say it in front. I say it all the time in front.
Me too.
It's terrible. This morning I was like, yeah, fuck men.
Like, you can have men, but you don't need them.
Fuck them at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and I said that to my roommate, and he's literally sitting at the breakfast table like, cool. But he deals with it. He's great. No, I don't think Amy needs to be dating anyone. I don't think she needs to be doing anything like that. And And actually, I would like to see her, maybe not, even if it's not Florida, I would like to see her leave Heartland just for a little while. It doesn't have to be permanent.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be, this big thing. But I was actually really excited when they introduced that idea of Amy going to Florida with Quinn's father, because to me it makes sense. She's grieving this loss, and she's grown up her whole life on this ranch, and that's great and that's beautiful, and I absolutely understand wanting to stay at home. But I also feel like this is an opportunity for her to expand and to go to a new place and to just get away for a little while, because she didn't really get that opportunity. She didn't go away to school. She did a little bit in Europe, and I could talk for hours about that whole storyline. So if you want me back on the show, let's talk about Ahmed, because I have a lot to say.
Yes, we can do an episode. We can do a hate episode for Ahmed.
I actually don't hate him, and I hate.
Okay, save it that for.
Okay, we gotta save this for next episode.
Okay, I mean, I do, but I don't. Okay, anyway, so but she went away to Europe, but they turned it into this whole thing of her coming back and being all like made up, and her hair and just like
all prim and proper,
and that doesn't need to be that way. I don't want it to be portrayed as like anywhere other than Heartland is this evil place. I think she could go and train elsewhere and work with people, and have it be a really good thing for her, because that doesn't mean she has to leave permanently or, decide she wants to pack up and leave.
Exactly.
Because I don't see her ever leaving the ranch, but
no.
I think as a young person and with a daughter, this might be, I travel a lot. I lived abroad for a little while, and my family is in Slovakia, so I'm everywhere. I've been traveling since I was a kid, so I'm very much a wanderlust person. So but I just think it would be good for her to go and be somewhere else for a couple of episodes, even if it's like a 3-episode arc where we're switching back between Heartland and Florida, or, somewhere else in Canada. Better than they did the Mongolia storyline, but like just being somewhere else, because it would be good for her. So I really hope we see that. And I want to see a little bit more of Georgie and Quinn. I love Alicia Newton so much. I want her more all the time. She's great.
I know, she's wonderful.
Yeah. And so actually I was listening to your guys' Heartland Confessions episode, and you read mine. And I'll just say now, mine was mine was the one where it said, if I have to sit through another Luke Fleming wedding, I'm gonna throw up. That was me.
I laughed so hard at that. That's hilarious. I believe we picked yours.
You did.
Oh my God.
And I was cracking up. I was laughing, because it's not that I don't love Lou. I love Lou. But I wrote that as she was like getting ready for the I think I wrote that mid season 14, and I was just like, oh my God, like she's just, this isn't right. This isn't gonna work. And I just didn't want it to happen. And so I would like the Mitch storyline to be resolved once and for all. I love Mitch. I even like Peter. I just think they either need to stop with the will they won't they with Peter and Lou, and with Mitch and Lou.
A lot of back and forth.
And to me, it seems like I think they just need to nail it down. She can be happy with either one of them. I think they both have great qualities that will uplift her. She just needs the writers just need to let her choose and move on.
She needs to be happy. She's been with this back and forth for like 5 seasons now, and it's like, just let her be happy, whether it's with someone or not. Just like figure it out, guys. Like,
and even with Peter, she wasn't really happy when they were married, so it's like, let the woman be happy.
At this point, she has known Mitch longer than she knew Peter before they got married. So it's like, just let it be, like just let her be happy and let her make a decision and be happy with it, because I think she's capable of making a decision. I think sometimes the writers tend to write her a little wishy-washy, like second guessing her decisions all the time.
Mm.
But I don't actually think that's true, because she is a very determined and intelligent, smart woman who can make these decisions, and she's made decisions. And you know, when it comes to men, I don't think she needs to be doing this whole back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
No.
Hire me, Heartland writers.
Yes.
A little plug
Hire
out there.
us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We'd get the show back on track.
yeah. Oh, I have so many ideas.
Yeah.
Also, I really like to see Lindy writing Harley. That was another. I'm so sorry. I know you.
No,
I know this is
tell
going
us.
on
No, it's
forever.
fine.
But the another horse storyline that I loved. It broke my heart. Season 14, when Lindy goes, "No, I can't ride Harley because Daddy's going to ride him when he gets back." Oh my God, that I laid down and just was like, I can't. Like, I had to pause it and like take a couple deep breaths, because I couldn't handle it. But I really, really loved how Amy handled that moment when she was like, honey, you know, instead of just being like stepping back and being like, oh my God, what do I do? The fact that Amy came down to Lindy's level and explained to her in a way that she's going to understand, honey, your daddy's not coming back and we miss him a lot, but he's not coming back. I'm getting choked up thinking about it. Really, I think, was a brilliant moment for the writers. And it was also very good for parents who may have to explain death and loss to their children. That was a very good moment to see, because children are so smart and they know a lot, and they want, in my experience at least, they want to be told what's going on and made to understand, and not just saying like, oh, daddy's on somewhere. Like, no, he's gone and we miss him. And it's okay to miss him. And I want you to feel how you're feeling, but we need to know that he's not coming back. And it's okay for you to ride Harley, because that's what your daddy would want. And so the whole coming full circle of now Lindy is riding Harley, absolutely warms my heart. It makes me just ugly cry all the time, but it's also just, it's a very great moment. Season 14, I think, is my favorite season, because they had so many fantastic moments, but that's a really, really good moment for people who might have to explain loss to children, or who are working on moving on. Similar to like how with Jack and Ty's bike, moving on after they've been gone. What do you do with their stuff? What do you do, with their horses, with their cars, with whatever, and just being able to acknowledge that you miss them and it sucks and you're heartbroken. And it's okay to feel that way, but it's also okay to move on in a way that honors them and keeps them in your memory, and doesn't keep you in the darkness the whole time. So I think Jack, they ended up giving Jack the bike, right? So like Jack keeping Ty's bike, and then Lindy riding Harley, and Amy riding Harley at the beginning of the season too. I think is just really a very perfect for the story writers, because so many people deal with loss and grief, that that needs to be portrayed in a way, I think, in media that's healthy, and I think they did a really good job of doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's another favorite horse-ish connected storyline that I think overall could connect with a lot of people, even people who don't ride horses or haven't lost somebody. That's a moment that everyone's going to experience loss, and that's something that can be pulled on from, even though it is a TV show. The way that they did it was so gentle and realistic, that I think is absolutely just, it was, I don't think there are many more words for it. It was perfect.
Thank you for doing this. Like, thank you so much for being on. We'll have to have you on another episode soon, because lots to talk about.
And even if we're like 3 different time zones, Like
Oh,
we can
we'll
make
make it
this
work.
work. Yeah.
We will make it
This
work.
is fun.
I'm
This
so
is
down. I
fun.
love it. I love
Sounds
listening to you
good.
guys because I sometimes I have to pause your podcast because I'll be like, but I want to tell you what I'm thinking.
Oh my god, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and I was watching my friend's ranch and cleaning out the stalls and listening to you guys, and I was like, but oh yeah, they can hear me. Okay.
That's so funny
Yeah.
though.
Oh, that's
Like
awesome.
we're
Thank you
just
for
like chatting
listening.
and we have
Yeah.
people screaming, you know,
Yeah, and I'm
somewhere.
just sitting there yelling at you guys, like,
Yeah.
but I want to tell you what I'm thinking. So yeah, absolutely, and
Oh my god.
happy to keep talking for hours about the storylines, the
man.
show, the horses, Greg
Yeah.
Wordle, how much I want Amber Marshall's life. Like I think,
Oh my
I think
God,
if I could just
right?
have her life, that would be fine.
Yeah, like
That'd be
we
great. Yeah.
we could talk
That's
about
great, yeah.
anything for hours, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, oh my gosh, I'm excited. I can't wait to have him back on.
Yeah. Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. I really do appreciate it, and I love it, and it makes me feel good because I feel like none of my other friends really watch Heartland to the extent that I do, where I'm like sitting there analyzing the character developments and like getting invested
Yeah.
in the show
Yeah,
the way that I am.
Same.
And so it's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
And really, I'm only on Tumblr now for the Heartlandians blog. So because I'm like, oh,
Same. Like that's
I'm
the
like,
only thing I follow.
I'm like, she'll know what's going on.
Yeah,
And
she'll
I'll
know
log on
everything.
and check and be like, nothing new. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I don't need to be on Tumblr again for another couple weeks.
Basically,
That's so
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you guys so much for
it's
having me.
nice to actually, because I've been seeing your username for a long time, and I'm
Mhm.
always like, oh, that's the person, and then
That's me.
yeah, it's like, well, here she is.
Yeah,
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
What is
So
my
cool.
Tumblr handle? Most peculiar Mademoiselle, I think is mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll
yeah.
have to go and look. I should have you. If not, I'm gonna follow you.
I haven't done anything on it
Oh,
in
gotcha.
ever, but it's there. And then I mean, you guys follow me on Instagram, and
Oh,
I also
yeah, I
have a
guess you're
Jasper
catching.
Instagram. If you just want to
Oh,
follow
I'm
my
totally gonna
Instagram,
follow
Okay.
that too. I'm totally gonna
me and my
follow that.
horse.
We could put it in the description on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
oh,
You can
for
see
it.
your horsey.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
think a lot of horse people are listening.
Heck
so.
yeah.
Yeah. And just with the disclaimer, I'm a forever amateur status. I'm not a pro.
Yeah,
Adult
just our
amateur is what they call
opinions.
us. So
Mhm.
just it's what I do, and I love it, and happy to chat about it forever.
Okay, that was our third guest, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, our third guest.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun. I love having guests on.
Yeah, me too. And hopefully we'll have many more. But
Yes.
I'm loving the ratio between us talking, just two of us, and then
The
having
conversation
guests.
is just
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
So we don't know what next week brings for the podcast yet.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be episode, of course, but before the next episode, there will be that CBC upfront event on
Which is a couple
June
days away.
2nd. Yeah.
June 2nd, yeah, Amber's birthday.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
not that we don't know it already, but I'm pretty sure season 15
waiting for
announcement.
the official announcement, but yeah.
Yeah.
You can it's you can act as though there's a season 15 because there is. You don't have to wait for official word, but a lot of people are. A lot of people are.
And we're practicing our shocked face, oh.
Yeah. We'll show you guys our raw, authentic reaction to finding out about season 15 on after the announcement's made.
Yeah.
We'll post it.
For the first time ever.
The first time us hearing the news, yeah.
Yep.
Because we didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, we still don't know, so.
No.
Right.
I guess technically we don't.
Yeah. But if you've been
just
waiting for that official word, then it's coming very soon.
Yeah.
So.
We can fake celebrate with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a little over a week until season 15 starts filming. That is, of course, if we get it renewed, but
yeah. I mean, I've been trying to think because Amber was hyping it up,
yeah.
like what's like is it gonna be just a regular season or like
Do you think that they're gonna announce that it's the last one?
like that crossed my mind, and then something like a new Christmas movie or like
Mm,
like
I'd hope that'd
something
be
new.
cool, yeah.
Like of course it's gonna be exciting if like when they're announcing the new season, but like is it worth that much hype? I don't know.
Yeah, like yeah, and I would prefer them to tell us ahead of time if it is the last one, because I'm gonna need a lot of time
Yeah.
to prep for it.
Same.
Like
Same. I think we're all gonna
we would
want a
appreciate
little
the heads up.
yeah.
So if they're gonna say it, I want them to say it now,
Yeah, before
so
they
that we
even
have a
start
whole
filming.
season to prepare for
Yeah.
the heartbreak to come.
Yeah, we're gonna be like, this is the last time in the barn, and
We're
this
gonna
is the
have to
last
take
time.
days off of work to mourn the loss of our 15-year-old friend.
Basically, like I
That's
wonder
what it's
if
gonna
they,
feel like.
yeah, if they're gonna let me, like a TV show is ending. I need a
Yeah.
day off.
Oh, well, speaking of that, this week I had my best friend text me. She's like, "Hey, you're good at Photoshop, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, I'm trying to get the full weekend off because it's a long weekend here. Trying to get the full weekend off so I can go to the cabin." She's like, "Can you fake an obituary for me?" So I did.
What?
So if you need one of those to get out of work after Heartland ends, apparently I can do those.
Like
for
my
free.
long lost Canadian
Yeah. I did like,
relative.
and you know what's really, she found this actual obituary, a real one online from some old dude who passed away in this area. So I edited his obituary to say that she's his niece.
The funniest thing is, since I work in a newspaper, I actually do those for a living.
Oh
so
my god.
so I could technically do one and then even
Shit,
put
I
it
should
on
have just
the
asked you.
yeah. Well,
Because you're probably even a more pro at that than I am.
like
'Cause you
next
do it
next
legally.
time.
Nah, next time I need an obituary.
Yeah, which is often. I don't know.
Yeah, totally often. Very
Yeah.
much so.
But anyway,
But that is all we have for you this episode.
Yeah.
Looking forward to next week.
Yeah.
We're getting really close to lots of exciting stuff. So
Yeah. So as always, we hope that you keep your noses clean.
and your powder dry. And we do know that that's a drug reference, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
but
We're not
like
endorsing drugs. We're just
yeah,
copying a
it's just
character.
yeah, it's just innocent,
Stay
right?
in school, kids.
Yeah, don't do
Yeah.
drugs.
Don't do drugs. We're not endorsing them.
Yeah.
We're telling you to keep your nose clean and your powder dry.
Yeah.
We're telling you to not do drugs.
Because you could have like snot on your nose, right?
Exactly. Just get a tissue. Get a tissue for your issue.
Exactly.